Hello everyone, welcome back. First of all, just want to wish you a happy new year and welcome to 2026. It's all gone pretty quickly, so we've just taking an extra few days off and trying to rip into FTR3 and get the ball rolling on this car again. As many of you know that have been following the journey, it hasn't seen a lot of action over the last 6 to 12 months, so it's really exciting to see things start to move again. So we'll cover off what we've got done on this car. And also, I just wanted to show you something pretty cool that we've come across. So restoring these cars isn't just about working in the workshop. We do cover a lot of kilometres chasing down parts. We've driven interstate to get some bits and pieces. And we want to make sure even the 1%ers are right with this car. So even though there's a lot of aftermarket parts that are available, we want to make sure that everything's OEM forward. So as an example, just the little bits and pieces like, have the genuine Ford logos on everything. So it's as close as to what it was back when it hit the track in the year 2000. Now, we've come across, which is pretty cool, I guess a batch of genuine Ford parts, which are all AU. If you have a look on the marking side of it, or the label side of it, I should say, you can see there, it's got Bob Gill and Sons, which I don't mind showing the address there because unfortunately he's no longer with us, but you can see there, this was something that passed through Bob Gill's hands. Now, Bob Gill is a well-known racer out of Victoria, and he ended up purchasing FTR1. So FTR1 is the car that Glenn Seton had the massive testing accident in at Phillip Island, pre-Bathurst in 2000, and FTR3 ended up replacing it. So it's pretty cool that, we're finding these parts for FTR3 that, although it wasn't a Glenn Seton part and something that had been through their hands, I guess you could say, it's pretty cool that there is a link there to Tickford, a link to some other Victorian racing history. And if you have a look inside the box, you can see there, I'll put that down, it's all in the original Ford packaging. It's got the original Ford markings on it and part numbers and bits and pieces. If I can get the camera to focus. Don't think it's going to. There we go. And yeah, it's a brand new set of AU tail lights for FTR3. Brand new, never been on a car. So just little bits and pieces like that we want to make sure that, everything is bang on with this restoration. Although 90% of people won't realise it's genuine Ford, at the end of the day, it does matter. And it'll be exciting to get to the stage we can fit them to the car. So I've just rolled FTR3 out of the fabrication area just to give you a bit better look at it. And as you can see, there's been a little bit of progress. Now, the main thing we're doing at the moment is getting all the panels roughly fitted or sat where they need to be, because although they're genuine Ford panels, you've got to modify every single one of them to get them to fit a V8 supercar. So the idea is we can get everything roughly assembled where it needs to be. And when the chassis gets the bar work done or the cage work done, all these panels will come off the car, they can be dipped and then primed up, and then we can get a final coat of paint on them. But when I'm talking about modifications, like obviously your main fuel filler or your road car fuel filler has got to be deleted. There's got to be fuel fillers punched in the back of the quarters, which you'll see here on the Allery Falcon. You can see where they need to roughly be. And you've also got to trim up around the back of the rear quarter panel so you can change the rear quarters without pulling the screen out. So little bits and pieces like that have all still got to happen. These quarters that are on the car are the genuine Ford ones that we showed in our last video. We've cleaned them up and basically stopped them from rusting any further, and they'll get dipped as well and make sure they're 100%. Roof, similar story. It's sitting over in the fabrication bay at the minute. It's all pretty well ready to rumble, but the main modification really starts from the back doors forward. And if we have a bit of a look in here, there's a little bit of rust to tidy up on this door, but I haven't been able to find a race door for the rear, so we've had to use a road car door. Now you can see there where it's been cut out. I've got a before and after shot there to give you a bit of an idea. So you take all that material out of the center and the door card goes over the top, and that keeps a lot of the weight out of the doors. Now, given this is a road car door, it has that side intrusion bar across it. Now, if you have a look on the other side of the car, where we have a race door or an unused race door. I can get my hand in there to release the latch. You can see that side intrusion bar's not there at all. So these were taken off the assembly line at Ford, and before that bar was put in them, and they were utilised for a race door only. Now, if we go back around the other side of the car and have a look at the front, it's a similar story, but there's a little bit more work that you've got to do. If I can get my hands in there to open the door. There's a little bit more work you've got to do to the fronts, because you have to have your electric motor for your electric windows and all that, and your interior door latch or door release lever. You've got to have all that still standard in the car. So basically the front half of the door gets cut out, and this stays for your electric motor mount, and that stays for your latch to undo your door, and then everything else is deleted. Now, one thing, we're going to reuse the front doors that the car came with. The rear doors we're obviously preserving for the Falcon head side of things, but the fronts, there's really no significant paint scheme on that. So we're going to reuse these, and you can see these doors have come off the assembly line at Ford as well. There's no side intrusion, and you can see they're dead straight, rust free, and exactly what we're looking for. There is a little bit of a crease in the bottom corner there, but we'll get that fixed up. But that's going to make life a lot easier for us. Moving to the front quarter panels, this is a heck of a lot more work. So these are a brand new AU quarter panel, obviously. These were rolled by a race team, not sure who, and they were prepped to go on a car, but they never actually made it. Now you can see the gaps are horrible. It's all just sitting there at the minute, but we've got to fill up the aerial hole. The side indicator hole's already done, and you can see these guards are being flared. Now this is where we need to work out which way we're going to go with this, because the rolled edge of the AU fender, which the road car has, so if we come over to the Super Cheap Auto Falcon and have a look there, you can see it's got that standard road car edge. And how we rolled these guards, or extended these guards, we pushed them all out along here, but we also cut them and extended them here a little bit, so it did fit up nicely and gave us plenty of wheel clearance. You can see in this photo here, there's just absolutely no room if you don't flare the guards on the Supercar. Now, the way this race team's done it, and again, I'm not sure who, they've deleted that rolled edge completely and just pushed the guards out. And you can see there at the front, there's remnants of it a little bit, but the rest of it's completely gone. Now that's perfectly okay from a functionality point of view, but if you have a look at the photos of FTR3 when it was brand new, it still has that pronounced edge on the guards. So however they've done it differently to what is sitting on the car today. So I'm going to do a little bit of research. Quite a few of you have reached out and offered some assistance and passing on some knowledge with that side of it, which has been really greatly appreciated. And we're thinking we may need to get another set of guards and get them redone so it does replicate exactly how FTR3 was back when it was brand new. Now, another job we've got ticked off, we've been able to repair the sections where the rear quarter panels mount to. So you'll see in these photos that we put up earlier last week, there's some massive holes in the rear section where the quarter panels mount to. And that's only because they've been drilled out so many times and replaced. It was a fairly regular issue on these cars. So once we ground the material back, we found that there was, I guess, a lot more repair work done there than what we thought. So we've ended up welding all the holes up and starting again. And you can see there, it's all solid material now. It does need to be finished off and repaired, well, neatened up to a cosmetic standard. But there is enough material there now that we can drill the rivet holes and secure the rear quarter panels by a rivet, not have to weld them on as this car had previously when it was converted to a BA. The only reason why the rear quarter panel was welded was there was no material left in here to rivet to, and they were welded along this leading edge, which will no longer be required. And it's only really just a matter of making sure the car's period correct, both for perfectly functional and usable for their application at the time. So after I finish shooting this video, the car's going to go straight back over to the fabrication bay and we'll get back into it. But the next step from here is to try and get this front radiator support panel removable. So you can see it's all sitting in place. We've got the guard mount hole and everything lined up where it needs to be, but we need to have it that there's screws mounted under here, and that front crash structure can come off the car completely. So we've got to TIG weld or MIG weld some little riv nuts in there, or some captive nuts I should say, and have that whole system removable, similar to what was done on the Super Cheap Auto Falcon. That way the base structure of the car is where it needs to be, and now we can start wiggling and jiggling panels and bonnets and you know, I guess move on to the next step, which includes putting the bonnet pins and boot pins in. Okay, so we're back in the fabrication bay and we'll start to make one hell of a mess again, but basically the step from here is to get the front end of FTR3 finished. So for those of you that haven't followed along from the beginning, this car was converted to a BA, and they had to cut the front of the car out because the BA quarter panels sit higher than what the AU did. And on the donor shell, we've taken basically the front of an AU off and refitted it to the car. So this section here, which you can see the colour of the paint, it's all AU, and then it goes back to the original FTR3 steelwork. So there was a few people that were questioning why these all lined up perfectly, so that's why. So what we need to do, we're going to cut this piece out here, just weld a bit of panel steel in there, something probably a little bit heavier actually. And what we'll do is weld all this steel work here together, so it's all one solid piece. 2 captive nuts, 2 holes in there, and then that whole radiator support panel can be unbolted and bolted back in really easily. For engine changes, crash damage, they were all made removable, they weren't welded in. And the only other thing we need to do from there is we need to fit up the bonnet mounts, or bonnet pins I should say, which you can see in this photo, thankfully was sent in by one of our followers. It gives us an idea where everything was. So we'll hook into that and bring you up to speed once that's all complete. So we'll push on here, and hopefully by night's end I can have the front radiator support finished, and we can then start to move on to the next job, so which would be rear bumper mounts and bits and pieces like that. So there's a job list a mile long and we're just ticking them off one by one. There's also been a little bit of progress on the Super Cheap Auto Falcon. I got a few hours of servicing work done on that, so I'll build that into the next update. I've got the footage there, I just haven't had a chance to edit it just as yet. So that'll be in the next update, and also a little bit more news on the Stone Brothers Ingall BA. Had some more parts arrive for that as well, so we can go back together at the same time. So I'm only a one-man band, and as I said, this isn't my full-time job, so it's plenty happening at the moment while I'm not at work. So thanks again for your support and your interest in these projects. I'll keep you updated the best I can and continue ticking along with the journey. So thanks again. I'll speak with you soon.